So, ladies, thank you for being here and doing this. Do you mind sharing your name so we have that at the beginning?
Okay, I'm Barbara.
Barbara
Brown.
I'm Daisy Jones.
I'm Jackie Bibby.
Okay. So, Miss Barbara, where did you live in Coolwell when you were growing up?
I was near the church and the school.
Near the church in Mount Airy School.
Mount Airy School, yes.
Okay. And you too?
Today you'll call it Crabapple Lane.
Okay.
Yeah.
Miss Jackie.
I lived in Bolling Hill.
You were in the Bolling Hill area.
Yeah, I lived right here on Coolwell Road.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which was 604.
Right.
Yeah, but no. But my dad grew up in Coolwell.
Okay.
But
and he was?
Jim Jordan.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What's your name, sir?
Luther Beverly.
Whereabouts in Coolwell did you grow up?
I grew up, the name of the road was 604 at that time.
It was Coolwell Road.
Coolwell Road. But it was half a mile from Bolling Hill Baptist Church.
Okay. Growing up as a child, who were you living with?
I was living with my grandmother. Her name was Connie Beverly. My aunt, which is great aunt, Annie Beverly. My brother Hezekiah. Cousin Bobby Beverly. Myself.
Who were your parents?
Nazareth and Betty Reynolds.
Okay. Did you have brothers and sisters?
Yes, I did. One sister, and I had, it was 6 of us, 4 brothers.
A few days ago, I heard someone telling me about, I asked them about being baptized. Do you guys remember that?
Mm-hmm.
William Dixon had a
Over
pool.
there,
He had a pond.
were you over there?
I was at the pool.
He had a pond, muddy pond, and they would all walk over there.
And where was that?
Oh, you know about the railroad
Mm-hmm.
in the back?
Mm-hmm.
It was down between L System Home on the hill and the railroad.
Okay.
And he kept it clean, kept it mowed, and I was baptized in the pond.
Yes.
And you were too?
Yes, did walk in the cold all the way back.
So you remember doing that?
Oh, yeah.
Were you baptized with a group of kids? All of you were baptized? How old were you? I should start
Oh my
with that.
gosh, I was about 11 years old. They put that white scarf on your head and white robe. You didn't get baptized, you didn't have all white. Yeah. So myself and my sister, I think Rosa,
me.
and then we had some guys there. I think when I got baptized, I'm pretty sure it was about 7 of us.
Okay. And you, same time as her?
Right.
Wow.
Now, I got baptized in the churchyard in the pool.
And you were at
First Baptist.
First Baptist.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a pool.
We had an outdoor pool.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
By the time I was baptized.
Just step off.
Do you remember being baptized at church?
Yes, I do.
How old were you when you were baptized?
12 years old.
12 years old. Was there a group of kids that were all baptized together, or were you by yourself?
No, there was 4 of us.
Do you remember who they were?
Joe Tolliver, Jack Chilton, Leon Abbott, and myself.
Going to First Baptist, where Reverend Rose was preaching, and the church being very crowded and very hot, and me almost falling asleep until he started shouting, and that would wake me up. And I remember attending a baptism there, and my grandmother warning me to step back because she didn't want me to fall in. I don't know if it was muddy. I think they had an actual baptism pool at that time. So it looked pretty clear, and it was a very hot day. So I probably wanted to fall in accidentally on purpose.
The exciting times, especially summers when our family would come back to Coolwell. Most of them had moved to the city, D.C. area, Baltimore, and other places, Pennsylvania. So it was always exciting and nice when they returned for family reunions, revival at First Baptist, and of course, revival at Bolling Hill.
When you were a child and you were here and attending Bowling Hill, what are some of the things you remember about being in church?
One of the things that I remember when I was little, this before I joined the church, before I was 12 years old, going to Sunday school, and I would love to ring the bell.
Uh-huh.
So I was able to ring it twice in one day, because we rang it at the beginning of Sunday school, and then we'd ring it again at the beginning of service. Yes, I used to love to do that.
J.T. Rose was the
Yes,
pastor.
yes. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Who was teaching Sunday school?
Melinda Gaston. Yeah, she would teach Sunday school, and Hannah Cabell
Okay.
would also teach. Yeah, I loved Sunday school. Sometimes we used to have recital, a program at church, and I never will forget that I had a part to play, and I just couldn't get it together. Couldn't remember the whole thing. So my aunt told me, says, well, you can't remember that. Say, I want you to look up John 14 and read that. She said, I'm sure you can remember it. So that's what I did. I read that, John 14, let not your heart be troubled. I read that and I remembered it. So that's what I did at that time.
In the summer, Bolden Hill did the Vacation Bible School. So the kids in Madison Heights, like the Bibby family, Jordan family then at that time, we would all walk to Bolden Hill in the summer for the Vacation Bible School. And it lasted maybe a month, 2 or 3 weeks or a month. Yeah, we would have like a picnic or so at the school. And I remember Vacation Bible School, the old Bolden Hill School was still standing at that time. So during the summer when we would do Vacation Bible School at the church, then the picnic would be at the old schoolhouse. We would clean that out and have hot dogs, hamburgers, and neighbors would bring food in, and that was our graduation from summer Bible school. So that was quite different and interesting. My aunt taught Vacation Bible School, Martha Johnson Reynolds. And she and her husband, my Uncle George, lived right up the road from Bolden Hill Church.
During the Christmas holidays, there was a lot of visiting because our family would go down to I can remember down to the Bennett's. They would just party, eat.
Yeah.
John and Junior would be there playing the guitar.
Mm-hmm. Who was that?
John and Junior Paul. They could play.
They could play.
And they'd be down come Martha's, and they'd be cooking, and I can remember eating all that hard Christmas candy, drinking that homemade wine, and every country.
It was family time.
It was family.
And that made the difference, I think.
They visit.
Yeah.
You know.
So it was a time for everybody to kind of gather together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember my grandfather, Papa Doc, would just make his cake at Christmas time. And
What
you
kind
would
of cake was it?
a chocolate cake.
Mm-hmm.
And you were special because he would give you a slice.
A sliver.
Like that.
Sliver.
Just like that.
Just enough to
And you would,
taste.
yeah, granddaughter, come on and get your piece of cake. Just like that. It wasn't even enough for you to taste, but it was good.
And it was really family. It was like family time.
So when you guys were growing up in Coolwell, and I'm assuming, did you all go to the local schools?
Mount Airy Elementary and Amherst County Training School.
Were you walking to Mount Airy at
No,
that time?
no, we had bus service.
You had bus service.
Yeah.
Did you also attend the Mount Airy School?
I went to Mount Airy Elementary School.
How long did you attend Mount Airy Elementary?
I think it was like the seventh grade was, sixth or seventh grade was Mount Airy. And then after that, I attended Amherst County Training School, high school.
Did you complete your education there?
From Amherst Training, I went to Central High School. And I was in class of 57. My class was the first class to go into the new high school, which was Central.
My mom didn't have a babysitter.
Mm-hmm.
So she put me in school. I was 4.
Okay.
And the principal said, at the time he was the teacher and the
Who
principal,
was that?
H.H. Burden.
Okay.
If she can keep up, she can stay in school. And I kept up. So from 4, I made it all the way up until we got to the high school.
Mm-hmm.
Then when we got to the high school, we went to Amherst County Training School.
Mm-hmm.
That was when they integrated the schools, so we had to skip a grade. We didn't go to the 8th grade.
Okay.
We went to the 9th grade. So that made me 2 years ahead of all of my
Your peers.
Yeah. So I graduated 12th grade at 16. We had to go to court and get a court order.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you, Daisy?
Well, I was 5 years old.
And you went to Mount Airy too?
Mount Airy.
Mm-hmm.
And left there to go to training school. Stayed there for a year or 2. We were there a year or 2.
Yeah, we were there.
Anyway, they built the new Central High. I skipped the 8th grade
Mm-hmm.
and went into the 9th.
And did you go to?
I went to Mount Airy for 7 years, first grade through 7. And then by that time, Central was open, so I went straight on to Central and graduated from Central.
Can you guys remember what Mount Airy looked like?
Oh, I do. Sure, we were talking
Talked
about
about it earlier.
3 rooms.
3 rooms.
Mrs. Hughes was 1st and 2nd grade.
Mhm.
3rd and 4th was Mrs. Simpson, who later remarried. She was Mrs. Agnew. She married Melissa. And then 5th, 6th, and 7th was Mr. Burton. Just 3 little rooms, heated by coal. Mr. Izzy would get up in the morning. Her uncle would come up in the morning and start the fire.
Okay.
And then the boys would go out to the coal house and keep the fire going.
There was a well
It was a well.
outside you had to go out and pump the
You
water.
know where Eagle's driveway at?
Yeah.
It was a
It
well.
was a well.
So
well there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go out to get your well water.
The east side
So I was
toilet.
going to say it was an outhouse.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
3 little stools.
Mm-hmm.
Boys and the girls. Boys went in there and the girls was here. We was just talking, the floor used to be real dusty. And they used to pour coal oil on it. Motor oil to keep the dust
Keep it down.
Mhm.
Mhm. Wow.
Which was bad. We didn't know at the time.
time.
It was really a hazard.
Right.
Yeah, we didn't know it. We didn't realize it.
Did you have to bring lunches from home
Yeah.
Yes.
Or walk home and get it.
or walk home and get it?
Mhm.
My mom usually packed lunch for school. And we had, she would fix a large breakfast because my dad worked for the railroad and he would leave early for work. So she would fix like hot biscuits and potatoes and fried apples and the works. So occasionally we would have a hot biscuit with egg or something to take to school.
Sounds good.
Yeah, right.
Um, did you guys have a garden at your home? Is that how you got vegetables and things of that sort?
Yes, always a beautiful, huge garden.
Do you remember what your father was growing in that garden?
All all vegetables, carrots, green beans, uh, the leaf lettuce, because that was one of my favorites, and he would always make sure he had just several heads of leaf lettuce and potatoes, and we also had fruit trees. We had an apple orchard, so we had peach trees and I think we had one cherry tree, and what else did he grow? That was about it. And tomatoes, yeah, we had lots of tomatoes from his garden.
He had a large garden. And some nights we would just have vegetables for dinner with whatever meat happened to be in the greens or the beans. But for the most part, it would be vegetables. Um, I remember the fried chicken, of course.
Did you have chores and activities that you did before or after school? Were there things that you had to do?
Yes, there was work at home that I had to do after school.
What'd
And
you
that,
do?
that is, uh, I would have to get water. We had a spring that I had to go to and get water, bring that, and also get wood.
Mm.
Because we cooked with wood, heated with wood. Yes.
So, how far did you have to go with that water?
Uh, I would say maybe eighth of a mile.
Okay. And did you have to chop the wood or were you just gathering it?
I had to saw it, chop it, and bring it in to the house. We had a place on the porch that we would stack wood.
Did you have a garden at home? When you were growing up, did you have a garden or did you have a farm or?
Yes, we had a garden. Yeah, it wasn't a farm. Well, it was a small place, but uh, yeah, we raised a garden,
What'd you have in it?
potatoes, beans, corn, uh, collards,
Mm.
cabbage, and we had two apple trees, and one of them was June apples.
Mm.
The minute school was out, I would be in the car with someone heading down here to spend time with my grandmother, Aunt Virginia's mother, Betty Reynolds. I spent most of my time actually playing with Aunt G's toys that she had left at the house. So I had a cash register that was hers. I had a record collection that was hers. The piano and the dollhouse. When we had our family reunions, we would play baseball occasionally. I think my dad and some of his friends would always play baseball. That was one of their activities.
Most of the kids did softball in our front yard. We didn't have it marked off like a baseball field should be marked. We used, I think, the lower step to our house in the front yard. That was first base. and we had a huge tree in the yard that was cut down. So the stump of that tree was the second base. And then my mother had it was a flower bush. I can't think of the name of the flower. But anyway, right at the beginning of the yard from the road, it was two trees, and one of those trees was third base. And then it was as you come into the driveway and go between the hedges, that was home plate. So that was our softball field there. And we also played tennis in the front yard. And we didn't always have lights in the front yard, but I think one of the brothers or somebody put a string of lights on the front yard from the porch to one of the trees in the yard. So we used the wire for the lights. That was the net for the tennis. So we would have to hit the tennis ball, which was a little bit higher than usual. We would hit the tennis ball over the wiring for the lights. So that was our games back in the day. We would if it wasn't right, we would just make it up.
Did you guys do sports? There were any activities that you were doing here in the community?
I did. I played softball during the summer. After this was doing when I was in high school, because we had a Madison Heights team at that time.
Okay.
And there were only my sister, Mary Chilton, and Alice Woodson from this Bolling Hill area on the team. And we would go into around the Madison Heights, Rose Chapel area, and we played with girls there. We would play Lynchburg teams most of the time. I mean, we got so good. You would see us walking across the bridge from Madison Heights on the expressway going into Lynchburg with our gloves, our bats.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
We walked. If we didn't have transportation, we walked across.
Wow.
Yeah, because we would go over to Dunbar Field.
You would go to Dunbar and play. How long did you play?
I think I played maybe at least 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many girls from this area played with you?
Just from
this area?
Yeah, from Bolling Hill was just 4 of us.
Wow.
Joyce, my sister, Mary Chilton, like I said, and Alice Woodson.
Did the boys play?
Oh, yes.
Did they play football?
No, they played basketball.
They played basketball.
Yes.
Wow. Your brothers play?
They played baseball. That was at Amherst County training. That's what the team they played. Baseball.
They had a team there.
We used to try to play baseball. And
but you didn't have an actual bat?
Yes, we had a bat.
You had a bat?
Yes. I don't know where it come from. But yes. Well, we started off playing with a tennis ball, not a regular baseball. I remember when I was in high school, we used to have a team and played baseball.
So you had a team that you played baseball with here.
Right.
And at the high school. Was that a high school league, like a team that they had? Or is this something that you guys kind of put together and played?
Just something we put together.
Well, they used to have a lot of pickup baseball games through the county. Like on weekends, the guys would get together and they would play baseball. They used to play at a field in
Robinson.
In Monroe. And then they played in Amherst up above Central someplace. Was it Gordon's Field?
With Gordon Fairground.
Yes.
Right behind Amherst Middle.
Yeah. And I think they had a field in Scott Zion, I want to say.
Yes, they did.
I want to say.
Zion, Monroe.
Things that were hunted that you were eating?
Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
So it wasn't just like a regular livestock, you were pigs and cows. You guys were
Squirrels, rabbits.
Oh,
Yeah,
goodness.
it was good.
Now I didn't eat deer. I can't eat.
We didn't eat deer.
No.
The squirrels and rabbits.
Squirrels and rabbits.
But
Eddie had a pastor. We had horses. So we had Trigger. That was Levi's horse, but he kept it pastor down at my house. And we had Champ. It was 2 horses, Champ and Trigger.
Can you ride them?
Trigger would let you ride, but Champ wouldn't.
Mostly walk. When I got big enough, my mother had bought me a bicycle, and I used to ride that to the store, which was on 29.
if you could walk to Faulkner to the store,
Just
you could catch this bus to Lynchburg. But
Right.
you could catch the bus. You could get there and catch the bus. But
So the bus would stop there and would take you to Lynchburg. Would it stop along the way
Yes.
through Madison
if you
Heights?
want, yeah, it made your little stops.
It went to the Circle in Amherst
and go
and would go back.
So did all of your families work?
Yes.
Also work at Sweetbriar?
Yes.
Did you guys work at Sweetbriar?
I did.
I did after school.
After school. So who in your family was working at Sweetbriar?
My mom and dad was working at Sweetbriar.
What were they doing there?
Mom worked in the laundry, and daddy worked carrying the mail and on the back and forth up in the offices.
My mama worked at the laundry. My daddy worked outside, where he was always there. They had a coal to run. There was a furnace run by coal. He made sure the coal stayed in the furnace, keep all the buildings warm. And my brothers worked at Sweetbriar. My sisters worked at Sweetbriar. I worked at Sweetbriar.
What'd you do there?
I wait tables. Then I was worked in the hall. I was like a clerk on the hall. When the food come in, I would check it in and took care of the invoices.
Wow. And you were doing, well, who was working there?
My mom worked in the dormitories for a while. My dad, when Mom and Dad first got married, I think Dad worked there, but he worked out on the farm with the horses and stuff like that. And then I would work after school. We would go up, get off the school bus, walk up to the college from 29 to wait tables for the evening dinner.
So you would leave school, and this is high school time, or was this young?
High school time.
High school time. And so you would walk over to the campus.
That we would catch the school bus
Home.
No.
Catch the school bus straight there.
They would put you off at the gate.
They would put you off at this gate if you had a job at Sweetbriar, and you would walk from 29 up to the dining hall and wait until dinner time, and then you would help set the tables, and then you would serve the dinner, and then you would come home.
Were you guys ever told stories or given any information about why the community was connected to Sweetbriar? Did anybody ever tell you any of the history between Coolwell and Sweetbriar?
I know the history because my grandmother was they was raised over what you call the hollow. It's a thing called Sleepy Hollow, I think. So they was there, so they worked Sweetbriar.
So you're talking about on that back road?
On the back road, yeah. That's where grandma them used to live.
Who was your grandmother?
Nanny Christian. And Nancy and Dorothy Sales, that is why the building is named after. They all grew up in that back there.
Yeah.
And they was just working Sweetbriar, so everybody else from the family that started working too. But my grandmother was a licensed midwife. She was as close to her. I wanted to bring her license, but her granddaughter didn't.
Oh, goodness.
But she was licensed. And then my grandfather, he was a blacksmith. In Amherst, he owned a business. You know where the town hall is now? It's a little car garage back there. That used to be my grandfather's blacksmith building.
What was his name?
Ernest Christian.
And you said who was the midwife?
Nanny Christian, my grandma.
That was your grandma.
She babies, doctors.
I think I saw her name on one of the records. She had said that a delayed birth certificate for someone, and she signed it.
Yeah.
Very interesting. But again, that was what you knew of them. Did
That's
somebody
what she-
tell you that?
No,
or-
grandma, she would always tell. My grandma would tell us everything. She told us about the sister she had. My mom's grandmother had dementia. She felt like it was needed in case we needed it, and she did. She had dementia. Any health things, my grandma would sit there and tell you.
about.
Yeah, she'll tell you, you know, how grandpa Ernest, he used to drive a horse and buggy, you know, and move people. She talked pretty much about her family.
So you knew a lot about the Christian side of your family.
Of my family,
Of
yeah.
your family, you knew a lot about them. And they all came from that general area
From
as
that
far
general
as you
area.
knew.
We all of them lived next door. Mama, my aunt, my grandmother, my aunt, everybody, the family, days, all of us that's right in that same little circle.
And they were all part of the
First Baptist
Baptist Church Coolwell community.
School and all.
Wow. Miss Daisy?
It was
I mean, you had a lot of people in your family that was working.
And yes, and I was named after
Daisy Williams.
Daisy Williams.
And they told you that?
Yeah, that's what I was named after.
Very interesting. But you don't know why. No one ever told you the connection. It just was.
No, I think it was one.
Her connection would be the same because her mom, Daisy Johnson, and my mom, Virginia, sisters.
Right.
And that was their mother. That was raised
over there.
And I just think that was the biggest employer at that time.
Right.
And you go to Sweetbriar, just when anybody went to Sweetbriar, got a job.
Right. Do you guys remember people getting sick?
I remember my baby sister had rheumatic fever. But other than that,
no, because when you got a cold, they put onions on you.
Yeah,
potatoes.
I remember that.
They were scared of cold.
And I always had one. I had two braids, and one was always shorter than the other. Because every time somebody got cut, Grandma would call me and cut off a piece of hair and doctor me. So I always had one even. Yeah. So
never heard of that.
But yeah, she would cut it. It would clot the blood. So I always had uneven hair.
And you step on a nail. And I can remember they would put turpentine. And one of my kids, after they grew up, I believe it was Paul, or I don't know which one. I remember they stepped on a nail and I put turpentine on, but I ended up calling to Dr. London. I told him, he said, what did you put on? I said, turpentine. I thought the man was going to have a fit. He said, you don't put turpentine. I said, no, that's what they did.
You know, if you ever got a boil, and the bump if it didn't burst, she would cut a piece of fat back, salt fat back, and put that on it. All of those remedies, yes.
Wow.
How about the church? Do you feel that the church is also changing as well?
It's changed somewhat, and not always for the best, because when I was there, the churches were full, and now I don't think people take going to church as seriously as they did when I grew up there in the church. Because, one time coming back home, if you didn't get to church early, you would worry, am I going to get a seat or whatever? And now, you can just walk in church and sit wherever you want. And I don't know if it's because of the, and when I grew up there in the church, it was always young people in the church as well as the older people. And now you go and it's no young people in church. And we always have the old-fashioned choir. And I grew up on the usher board. I couldn't sing, but I was on the usher board. And now, it seems that that's a thing of the past. Where are they? Where are the children? And
I would like to know where our church is going to be in the next 10 to 15 years.
I think it will probably, it would, to be seriously, I think it would probably have to join in with another church to sustain a position in the county. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, because you just don't have the people.
Yeah.
That she had. Yeah.
What do you hope for the future of Coolwell?
To see more businesses, more young people starting businesses, um, and more, I guess, togetherness with the young people. Going back to the older days when I grew up, it was so much togetherness. People stuck together. They did things. We always had family reunions, and that was our way of seeing each other and keeping in touch. And
Rosa and Barbara said that you guys were like the three musketeers, and you were the third musketeer.
I don't know where you got the information, but yeah, we were known as the Three Musketeers. Yeah, and I haven't seen you, Crystal, since a little girl. I'm talking little girl with your grand. But it's been a pleasure. And this is just a look. This is just the surface. There's so much more that
It's so important to talk about these things and share it. When I think about, as we're talking about the community changing and the information that is out there now, some of it I've been lucky because I grew up around people who taught me things, showed me things, and I had grandparents and great grandparents that I was around. But I can say my cousins, they don't know because they didn't have those experiences. And unless we talk about these things, share these stories, and discuss what all this means on a larger scale, it gets lost. So I really appreciate the three of you sitting here and having this conversation and making sure that we have your memories and your thoughts and things that you know about the community to keep that going.
Today is Friday, and the date is February 10th, 2012, and we're here at the home of Mr. John Jasper Smith, whom we're interviewing, and I'm Jean Higginbotham, one of the interviewers, and also with me are Mia Magruder and Lynn Cable. Hello?
Hello.
What grades you were in when you attended Mount Airy?
Well, actually, it was primer, we called it back then. It wasn't first grade. Primer through seventh grade, really.
Okay.
Yeah, primer through seventh grade.
Now, how old were you when you first started school?
8 years old. I was 8 years old when I started.
And why was that?
Well, we lived too far from school to walk that distance. It was about 5 miles from where we lived, and my father never had a car. Anytime we got to school at all, we had to walk. And to walk that distance that young, we'd have to get up often early in the morning, so that's why we didn't start school earlier. It's an old building, and, with tight building that you had nothing but quite natural outdoor toilets and everything, and you had wood stoves. So we had to, the older boys had to get up when I got to school first, they had to see that the fire was made in order to try to heat the school up some before the rest of the children got there.
Now, did you have running water in that school?
No. We had to go spring to get water in this for the school too.
So usually the boys went and got the water and got the...
Took care of the wood, and when I didn't use wood, there's a railroad running right down through there, so we would go get coal, pick coal up from the tracks that were there, and bring it. That also supplement for wood is concerned for heating the building up. For heating the building. Mm-hmm.
So it was it was coal that fell off the train?
Right.
That's that's something we've never heard before.
Well, actually, they had a person on that coal car most of the time, And we would stand along the track with a bucket like that, and he would shovel some coal off the sides.
Well, that was generous.
And we would go pick it up, and then bring it back to school.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We had to get up early then. We lived about 3 miles at that time. So we had to get wood in the morning. Then we went by the farm then, and we went by the farm and they milked the cows for this guy.
Oh, my goodness.
And after milk the cows, we went on to school, and on the way back home, we had to milk the cows, and when we got home, we had to get wood in. So, like I said, we had to do all the work.
A long day.
It was 5 boys, and we had to do all of the wood, get all the wood in, because we didn't have nothing but wood stove,
right,
and heaters and whatnot. So we get all the wood and go to nothing but springs. We never had a well or anything, and no pumps, and we always had to go to spring to get water.
But at the time, I was a child, and everything was satisfactory, so I liked it.
Of the people at your school who were your friends, who were your best friends at school?
She's sitting right there beside you. Yeah, I mean, she was one of my best friends.
And what's her name?
Barbara Park. Barbara Hutchison.
Barbara Hutchison Park.
And then it was another girl called Virginia Reynolds. She is in Washington now.
And have you kept up with all those people?
We still the 3 Musketeers.
And how often do you see each other?
I see Barbara every Sunday, because we go to the same church. And I see Virginia when she comes home, and then I talk to her periodically on the telephone.
What you thought you were going to finish high school at Amherst Training School, how did that feel to get put into a new school? Were you excited about it?
Yeah. I mean, I would rather have gone to Central, graduate from Central with the name Central instead of training school, because training school sound to me like you had a problem. I don't know why. I really don't know why it was the training school. Because, I mean, it wasn't a training school. It was a high school. And you can edit that.
No, make sure you put that in there. Yes,
you can edit that.
Yeah. That's the training school.
Yeah, the training school. That's right. It's like the hospital. Why was it your training school? We were some of the smartest kids in the camp.
Yeah, were there a lot of wonderful teachers at Amherst Training School? There weren't there?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Tell us about some of them.
Well, there was a Mr. Robinson, Mr. Rose, Miss Cole, our principal, Mr. Anderson, who I think everybody loved him. He was strict, but then he was fair, and he wanted to see you do the best you could. And Maurice, Maurice, he was a jewel. Maurice Moore. Yeah. And he became a principal, and he taught science first. He never really taught me, but he was so concerned about all the rest of the kids, And everybody had respect for Maurice.
This is Mia Magruder and Lynn Cable are interviewing. Good afternoon, Mrs.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for letting us interview you. Where did you first start school?
I first started school at Mount Airy Elementary School.
And where was that located?
That school was located on Ostage Road, I believe, in the community of Coolwell, and that's off of 29 in the area of Faulknerville.
And what grades did you attend the school?
First grade through 7th grade. There was no kindergarten back then.
Who were your best friends at school?
My best friends at school from elementary.
Yeah.
I started at Mount Airy. It was Rosa Johnson Brand, Virginia Reynolds, and later on, when I say later on, probably about the 4th or 5th grade, a girl named Ruby Allen. Right, Ruby Allen, because she moved there from Nelson County. Right. They were strict, but when I say strict, we knew what we had to do. We knew that if we went to school and misbehaved, if they punished us, they were going to tell our parents. No ifs, ands, buts about it. They would come to your house and tell what you did today, and you would get punished again. So we went in there, as Rosa said, we respected the adults. We respected the adults in every way. And one thing our parents did not do, if they knew something was wrong, they never downed the teachers. The school was always right.